Well, all right now, YouTube. Class is in session. We're doing something a little bit different today. Hopefully you find this interesting. I know I sure did, but I'm kind of a biology buff, so I like this kind of thing. I've always liked biology. Don't like the chemistry so much, don't like the math. So, if you follow the channel here now, we do a lot of tree cutting. I've been cutting some big freaking trees. That poplar I cut was almost 5 feet around. If you like that kind of thing, by the way, nature, firewood, trees, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your friends. Now, like I said, we've been cutting a lot of very large timber lately, so I thought I'd switch gears and do something a little bit different now, and we're going to talk about the smallest tree in the world, okay? So you wonder, what is the smallest tree in the world? Well, it's the Arctic willow, and it's the scientific name is the Salix arctica. Now, this is the northernmost woody plant, and I'm going to try to get through my notes here. They're all over the place, but as I was saying, the habitat range, it varies pretty good. This thing lives in the North American tundra. There have been reports of this plant in the Pacific Northwest and also as far south as the Sierra Nevada mountains in California and the Rocky Mountains of New Mexico. It has also been reportedly found in Xinjiang, China, and Vermont, probably northern Vermont. But typically you think of this plant living way up north in northern Canada and the North American tundra, Alaska, northern Canada, Greenland, northern Iceland, northern Russia. This plant lives further above north of the typical tree line of any other plant or shrub that on the freaking planet here now. We're talking about the polar regions. Just, as far north before the ice caps as you can get, this thing likes to live. It has a very short growing season now, and there's 3 subspecies of this plant that, since it has a habitat range from northern Canada and down, maybe even to Xinjiang, China, there's 3 different little subspecies that they've identified that have slight variation, so that's worth noting. And the plant can also form hybrids with some other surrounding plants in nature, so it would sure be nice to find, just a straight up natural variety of this. I'd like to buy one now. I think they are commercially available. We'll talk about that here in a minute. The seeds are viable for over a year, and you can easily take cuttings from these plants. Willows are very easy to root cutting, so I'd like to find one. They're kind of neat. Anyways, back to what I was saying. I'll post a link to some of my sources on this. If you really want to get in and read, there's all kinds of detailed scientific information in a couple of these sources that I found that talk about these 3 different subspecies. And one of the sources goes into the different plants that it hybridizes with and gets into every different hybrid and some of the traits of those hybrids. I'm not going to get into all that. That's a little bit more than I wanted to do. Now, this plant, obviously, it prefers cold climates and open areas. Now, when I say cold, it can tolerate temperatures from negative 70 degrees Fahrenheit to around 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And, like I said, if it's found in places like Vermont, the Rocky Mountains of New Mexico, I'm sure it gets chilly, but like those subspecies, a little bit warmer than something you'd find in northern Russia or northern Canada or Alaska. But it's found in, it's found in all kinds of environments, ledges of beaches, ledges. It's found in sphagnum bogs, edges of pools, sandy flats. The habitats are pretty varied, but you can go on these sites and look. It has adapted different ways to live in these very cold environments, and one of them is that it stays very short. These plants only grow about 15 to 20 centimeters high max. Now they can be found a little bit larger, especially in the Pacific Northwest where the temperatures are a little warmer. They can be up to 50 centimeters long. Now what they do is they form long branches, and the branches will root along the ground wherever they touch the ground, so they can they spread in kind of carpet areas, so you can get them a little bit longer and they'll get a little bit taller sometimes, but that's part of their adaptations. They stay short to stay out of the wind now, and their root systems are very shallow, and they're sweeping and a vertical. Excuse me. They go in. They spread in a horizontal sideways action more than you would have a taproot going down, and that's an adaptation that they've developed to deal with soil that's typically in permafrost, right? So. You can't go down very far. They're in permafrost, it's frozen, so they just kind of stay real shallow right on the surface. The plants are short, so the wind can't blow them over, that type of thing. So the leaves of this plant are oval shaped, and they have pointed tips, and they're just kind of bright green colored. And the plants, they reproduce from seeds now, and they form catkins, which are kind of bundles of little flowers. And the plants are either male or female, and they cross-pollinate and make seeds. And they have a very short growing season. As I said, they flower in what they say is spring, but that's June, July, and August in those very cold polar regions they grow in now. So they grow these quick little flowers and they make seeds, and that's how they reproduce in nature there. So now this next thing is a little bit confusing because the main natural predator of this plant is the Arctic woolly bear, which is some type of moth or something, and it's the primary host plant for the larval stage, I believe, of this woolly bear. But I also read in an article that says that when it's alive and growing in the spring, it produces some type of natural toxin or pesticide to try to fight against these woolly bears. Now that may be an adult woolly bear moth. Maybe it has some type of natural kind of odor or whatever it puts off to deter them, but it is still the primary host plant of the Arctic woolly bear, and I think, like I said, I think it's the larval stage of those moths. So the plants are very slow growing. The oldest known plant that they have identified was 236 years old now, and that was found in Greenland and was determined to be 236 years old. They've also found some that have been in excess of 80 years old. Now in the wild, this plant is a food source for some of the characters that roam those areas, such as caribou and Arctic hares, lemmings, musk oxen, and the rock ptarmigan, which is a bird that's spelled with a P, Ptarmigan, the rock ptarmigan. I think it also eats part of the Arctic willows there as well. Now humans can also eat these and make use of these plants. If you peel the bark off of the twigs, you can eat the inside of them. They say it's real sweet tasting, and they have a lot of vitamin C in them, which is remarkable. It's like a vitamin C superfood, I would say. Let me see. So one leaf of this plant contains 7 to 10 times more vitamin C than an orange. So just one little tiny leaf. The leaves are only a couple centimeters. They're just a little small round thing. So one of those leaves can be up to 10 times as potent as an orange as far as vitamin C, which is pretty cool. And it's said to have some medicinal qualities by the native people of that region up there. They're not Eskimos, but they're native cold-dwelling people. Can supposedly cure upset stomach, toothache. It could be an anticoagulant, help wounds to stop bleeding. Now, I know I said native people. They have a name, the Inuit. The Inuit is one, I think, and there's another one. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, so I'm just not going to say it. But if you look at the source articles, you can see the different tribal people that feed off this thing now. And of course, since we are a firewood channel, those native people, they do use the woody parts of these stems for firewood and fuel. That's right, you can burn these things. So I'm going to show some pictures on the screen, and it gets some little woody parts. So I mean, these things are apparently quite plentiful in the wild. They're not by any chance endangered. They carpet areas. So I would imagine if you find an area where they're just all over the place, they have little woody branches and stems in the thicker sections, and you can just cut out all those little pieces of wood and make little fires and cook food on them and stuff. If you're really scrounging for some scrounger wood, these things will get it done. You know what I'm saying? There's some woody parts, and it will burn. So that happens as well, and I thought that was pretty cool. It is a firewood for those people living in the cold areas up there. I think we've about covered it here, guys and girls. Like I said, I would like to maybe try to buy one of these plants. It's like a natural little bonsai tree. You know what I mean? You don't have to do anything to it. It's a naturally occurring tree that's under 15 centimeters tall. So it'd be kind of cool to have one. And I can't really think of anything else I want to say. I think I pretty much got it all here now. And I just wanted to introduce you to that plant. So if you want to learn more, check out those source articles. I'll post them in the description. There's all kinds of information. It's so much information you'll probably get sick of reading it all. But that's about it for today. The Arctic willow, world's smallest tree. So we'll see you guys later. Stop in and check out the next video.